Good morning. Welcome back. I'm Babz Rawls. This is Lovebabz, Lovetalk. Hey, this is my second hour on Fridays, and I'm talking, and I got women that I enjoy. Put your headsets on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, listen. I got Jennifer Heath, who is the president and CEO of United Way of Greater New Haven, and Beth Pellegrino. What's your title?
Community Engagement Director.
Community Engagement Director, but I know her as my church sister. Because we used to go to Redeemer together,
right.
And so I know her beautiful children, and her lovely husband. But Jennifer Heath and I go way back, like, girl.
Oh, long time.
Way. I don't even.
When our kids were little.
I don't even think. Were you married? Well, I don't even think we were married when we knew each other.
Know. It was a long time ago, Babz.
I think we were single women. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to see you.
It is good to see you.
I feel like this is a treat. I saw you. What, 2 weeks ago?
At the Chamber Shindig.
That's right. And now to get to see you here.
Yes. It's nice. It's nice to know that you are still with United Way and that they're in good hands.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So what's going on with United Way these days? What's happening?
Gosh, we have lots going on.
I know.
I'll start maybe, but we can jump back and forth.
Okay.
So one thing we're really excited about is that we have a big New Haven Day of Caring coming up.
I hear about this.
Yes, later this month.
Live United.
That's right. We're going to be, we have a great group of volunteers. In fact, we're full. I mean, it's exciting to say, sad for those who maybe didn't sign up right away, but we're full in terms of the volunteers that we needed and that we can accommodate.
That must be a good feeling to be able to say, you know what, we have enough volunteers.
It's an amazing feeling.
It is. I know. So we have, I think, over 200 people who have RSVP'd, and we're really excited about the day because we're going to get together as a group. We are going to pack the largest number of meals ever in a single day in the city of New Haven.
Oh, my God. Yeah. What's the number?
37,500.
Who's doing that? I'm not on that line, am I?
No, you're not on that line. You're
there.
You're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the volunteers will be doing that. And then we do have some folks who are also going to be doing some park cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so where's this event going to be?
It is at
John Martinez
School.
Oh, in Fairhaven.
In Fairhaven, that's right.
Oh, right by the park, overlooking the beautiful new bridge.
That's right. And that's actually where the cleanup will be, too. Is
good.
Park.
Yep,
right.
Priscolo Park, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful over there. So, all right, so you got your volunteers. So, United Way is coming up on how many years? Because you got a big celebration or something.
We look pretty
milestone.
Good for almost 100, right? 100? Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty remarkable.
It is. So our local United Way next year will be celebrating our 100th anniversary.
Oh my God. So I know you got all kinds of stuff planned up.
We have a lot planned.
I know there's a gala of some sort.
You know what? Actually, we're not planning that.
No. I was going to get dressed up.
I know. It's a nice thing to do sometimes. We actually decided we're the kind of organization that is more about volunteer activities and celebrating in some other ways.
Okay.
So we're going to try to really blow it out of the water in terms of having lots of different volunteer events and ways for people to feel connected to their community that don't require dressing up.
Okay.
So that's our plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with that. All right. So what is the mission of the United Way? Let's get back to the basics. Like, what is it that y'all do?
Sure. So what's interesting, I think, is that we are almost 100, and yet largely what we're about has really not changed over that whole time. So what we're about is bringing people and organizations together to solve big problems in the community. And that's been the case since our founding.
Wow.
Yeah. And the big issues we're really focused on are around education, financial stability, and health.
So education in the lower grades or where?
We really think of education as starting at birth. So
wow.
All the way from really little kids, infants, babies.
Oh, that's impressive.
All the way up through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so your job doing education is what?
So I focus on
community engagement, right?
community engagement, which really you find yourself in all different areas, right? So a lot of my work, I've been with United Way now for 8 years, and sometimes it morphs. I've always been focused in our education initiatives area. I happen to live in New Haven. I'm raising my own family in New Haven, so kind of having deep relationships there continues to make that work even, and it's supported in an additional way. I would say they kind of complement each other. My work in education focuses around helping manage what we have as the New Haven Trauma Coalition.
Wow.
Yeah. And we also do some community grant making for our local organizations. And have been working in the last few years in most of our areas going beyond New Haven as well.
Mm-hmm.
So building relationships in Hamden. So United Way is of Greater New Haven. We cover 12 towns. So we've gotten, I think, increasingly better in the last several years of really finding ways to reach folks in all those other towns as well. So we can do that through our education initiatives as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the pressing issue 100 years ago?
Gosh, I don't know that I feel completely qualified to answer that question.
That may be a good thing to sort of
That
lay
would
out.
be.
Say, like, 100 years ago, this is what we're doing. 100 years from then, this is what we're doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you do changes as the need arises, I would imagine.
It does. So, one of the things that we say it's in our DNA as an organization is really trying to understand what people both need in the community and what they want. So we look at both kind of aspirations.
That's interesting.
Right? And needs. And say, okay, this is what people are really caring about, what they're talking about, what they're saying are the issues near and dear to their heart. How can we as an organization respond to that, be helpful in that, be a connector, bring resources to bear on that issue, help people tackle that in new and different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how did the call for volunteers become part of it, or has it always been part of it?
My sense is that, and I haven't been around that whole 100 years, but my my sense is that it's been part of the organization's kind of culture and structure from the very beginning.
Okay.
So this notion that volunteerism is a valuable thing for the community and it's valuable for the individual to be a volunteer, I think has undergirded, a lot of what we've done. And we've always tried to find ways to help connect people to their community.
Okay.
And it's looked different at different times, but that's been something we've done a lot of and are proud of.
So how do you make the decision about what you will put your attention to? Does the organization come together? I mean, do you have a board of I suspect you have a board of directors.
Yep.
And somebody says, hey, this is really what's trending across the country. We should pay attention to this.
For sure. Sometimes issues come up that way. We've had issues bubble up from, as Beth mentioned, she's a New Haven resident. She's been involved in lots of things around New Haven. Lots of times we ask people just to be really good listeners and be present at different kinds of community settings or tables to understand what people are caring about. We have lots of volunteers beyond our board members. So we've had different groups of people come together in different configurations to say, hey, we really want to make sure we're doing something that's valuable for early childhood, let's say. What's currently going on? What are the needs? Let's make sure we're really talking to people about that, understanding where we could fit into this and make a real difference.
And also things change through time, right? So we'll be working on something particular. We'll have an initiative or partners, and you do the work for a little while, and then you start hearing or discovering some other issues or needs that are coming up or concerns from the group, and the wheels start turning.
And how quickly can you all address that? Do you have when you hear from folks whispering to you or telling you or being direct with you about, hey, this is what's happening, how quickly can y'all be effective in exacting some kind of change or putting some resources to something?
It varies, I would say.
Right, I was gonna say sometimes right away.
Right.
And then sometimes it takes a long time. There are long-term plans that we put in place. It's nice. We have some responsive opportunities, right? When issues come up and we can get involved right away, they come to us for help, and that can look a few different ways. And then at other times, it really takes long-term planning, convening, getting people together. But I would say, and everything in between.
I was going to actually give an example. So back in 2009, when the economy tanked, and we realized the impact on people. We really jumped right into action. And so the United Way partnered with the Jewish Federation, which we had not ever had a partnership before in this way.
Really?
Yeah, we hadn't partnered with them before. And we had kind of individually, as two different organizations, been talking about what should our response be to the fact that so many people are struggling. You know, they've lost their jobs or the hours have been cut back. Things were really bad. And we came together and started a fundraising campaign that was called Neighbor to Neighbor.
Oh, I know this campaign.
Right.
Yes.
And so literally it went from like, we know this is a real issue. We know we have to do something about it outside of the ordinary. We came together as two organizations and we put together this fundraising campaign where actually the dollars were raised, and then a volunteer committee helped make decisions about where the money should go. It went out into the community right away. And so that we were able to almost, it felt like turning on a dime, right? In terms of being able to do something very quickly. That was extraordinary in the sense of the need and the ability to pull people together quickly, because I think people reacted to that need. There are other times and other issues where it just takes longer because you need to get really clear on what both the issue is, like the underlying issue, and what the longer term solutions are. And those you want to be thoughtful and careful about and planful with lots of partners. But I'd say that's another hallmark of our work. I think you would agree, Beth, certainly from the work you've done, is that we really prioritize working in partnership. Because we know that truly the way you're going to create lasting change is by pulling people together to do that. If this stuff were easy to fix,
it'd be fixed.
Somebody would have done it.
Oh, we would all be fixing it.
Yeah, exactly. So
do you think people give to the United Way because they feel trusted, like they feel like it's a trusted organization? I mean, there's a lot of organizations that people could give to.
Correct.
But people tend to
people still give to United Way. I think they do see that it's a trusted organization. It's focused locally. And we have the ability, as I've said before, to really bring lots of different partners together to do the work.
So talk about the larger. Do you take your cues from a larger United Way? Is there like United, because there are United Ways all over the place, right?
Correct.
Is there a universal United Way that's
the mothership?
The mothership.
Yes, there is actually. I mean, there's an entity called United Way Worldwide.
I like that.
I know. Yeah. And so they set, I would say they kind of set a framework that they encourage local United Ways to work within in the sense of the issue areas. Happens that when we did the work to understand what were the priorities in our community, we came up with this set of priorities. A few months later, United Way Worldwide said, these are our national priorities as a system, and we had complete alignment. So that was a wonderful happenstance. And so those are education, financial stability, and health. What that looks like in any individual community, any individual United Way differs based on the particular needs of that.
Do they provide
area.
Support? I mean, do they have things that you have to buy into? Like you have to, like you can't just go off or can you? I don't know. Do your own thing without, like, oh, we don't like your priorities. We have a different set of priorities.
It varies. I mean, we are each our own not-for-profit organization. We're each with our own board of directors. Ultimately, each United Way really does try to reflect the needs and opportunities that are in their particular region or community. So if, for example, you lived in a community where, everyone was talking about an education-related issue, that United Way might be all in on that and not do as much on some of the others. In another community, it might be all around, a health-related issue, and they might really focus on that. It can have kind of a different flavor in different places. I think one of the things that binds us or has us together as a network is that we do really care about those three big issues, though, even though it might look different in each community.
Okay. So now, so do you have to go and like meet with the other United Way presidents and CEOs?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Both, those of us in Connecticut get together more frequently.
How many are there in Connecticut?
14 local United Ways.
Really? Whoa.
I know.
But you have the largest one, I suspect. No?
You know what? Actually, we don't. The one up in, that's headquartered in Hartford, but it serves central and northeastern Connecticut.
Okay.
They're the largest United Way in the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. That's some trivia right there.
That's right. And actually, the other thing I'll throw in, and Beth, you could probably comment on this too, is that there's also a United Way of Connecticut. So people don't necessarily realize that. So there are local United Ways, and there's a United Way of Connecticut. Again, we're separate organizations, but we try to work together on issues that we all collectively care about. But one of the things that United Way of Connecticut does is they run the state's 211 service. There are a lot of people that don't know about 211.
You know what? I do know about 211, and I believe I knew that because when I worked for the state a gazillion years ago, at the beginning of that ownership, I remember that. Oh my gosh, yes.
So that's one of the ways that we try to connect people to services is 211, free phone call.
And that could be anything from mental health stuff to childcare to
help for your elderly parents.
Yeah.
Mortgage concern, like I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage now because of this happening.
You could say I've just moved to New Haven and I am looking for some resources and call 211. They'll put you immediately in line and on the phone or in contact with somebody in your own area. So anybody can call 211. It goes to sort of a central entity, and then they hook you up with someone that can help you speak your language, understand your own area and region, and the sort of area that you're looking for support in.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I believe I knew that, but it was good to be reminded.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there are actually a lot of people who don't know about it, and it's also available online. So if you didn't want to call, you could go online.
You go to 211
and say I'm looking for, and then you can get a list of resources.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, all right. So, talk about a little bit more about community engagement. How do you get out there? How do you not get pulled in 50 million different directions? Because this is a town, and I'm sure the other 11 towns have stuff going on, but New Haven can drain you in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way, but there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of passion in New Haven. And I think and another interesting thing about New Haven in this area is that there's a lot of outlets and connections and partnerships that are sort of already in place.
Yes. Yes.
So there's bandwagons.
Does it feel silo-ish sometimes? Or, I mean, because you have to be the one that cuts through the silos, even though people have their fiefdoms, because I've done nonprofit work for a long time. And so I know everybody's like over here doing their thing, somebody's over there doing their thing, and they don't necessarily hold hands.
Right. Well, I think that's where we've seen really some of our greatest successes and achievements is when we're able to break down the silos, right? Understand what the issues are and where there are needs or holes in services, where United Way can be supportive, right? Find the people who are doing the work similarly aligned but often misaligned, right?
Because y'all don't do the work. I mean, you don't.
Right.
You don't do direct services.
Right.
Okay.
So bringing all those people together, and we have some really amazing examples actually of how we've done this recently. Bringing all those people together, looking at each other face to face, being in a room, sharing ideas, getting to know each other, and understanding all of the work, because there's never a lack of need.
Yeah.
The need is there no matter how many people are doing the work to help it through, right?
That's
the
true.
need's not going away, but you can get much smarter about the way that we offer support and allocate resources. And sometimes you sit in these rooms and one day you think, my goodness, look how far we've come, and you feel great. Like people are talking that hadn't talked before, and now it's happening outside of this room. You hear that people worked on a project together. And it wasn't just because we all got together for our monthly network meeting or whatever, but I mean, I think we've done some I've been at United Way for 8 years. And even in that time alone, there's been some really incredible work done. That has been really the center of what our role has been in it. I think our expertise, I'd go out on a limb to just say, one piece of the expertise of United Way is around partnership. Like Jennifer said, but we're not direct service providers, right? So we don't have clinicians on staff that are doing clinical work and all of these things. But where I think our expertise is around creating partnership and bringing people together and understanding how you can get people to speak the same language. You know,
I love it. So back to this day of caring. How old is this? Is this
2 years
event?
No,
well, no. So we're gonna have a little bit of a disagreement here. That's totally fine.
No, that's okay.
So this is the second year of kind of a reboot or relaunch of Day of Caring. So way back in the day, way preceding my time with the organization, there was a Day of Caring. That was kind of a United Way thing, actually. I think one of these things that happened in multiple United Ways across the state and across the country. And I'm not sure who kind of birthed it, whether it came from like National United Way or if it started at a local level and then went spread out, because people are like, that's a great idea. So Day of Caring as a concept has been around for a long time. Our United Way had done it in the past. And then we had kind of paused or taken a little bit of a break. And then because of interest from some of our partners, we kind of relaunched it last year. And last year we called it New Haven Day of Caring. So
because the partners that you have, they don't want to run a thing.
You know, not necessarily.
They want to be able to have their people, their employees or whoever participate in some community activity, but without them having to sort of go and create a whole thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So we relaunched it last year. So that's why I'm saying it's not just 2 years old, because we got that other history back there. But yeah, we're really excited about this one because it feels like it's kind of starting to take on a life of its own in a good way, in the sense that people are excited about it, people are talking about it,
and they look forward to it.
And they look forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And they get a T-shirt.
They get a T-shirt, and you know what they're also going to get this year, which I think is very useful given the change in the state laws. They're going to get one of those reusable bags that you can use at the store.
Whoa! Do I get one of those?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a yellow one.
You got one today.
I got one today.
That's got her T-shirt ready.
All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love this. I tell you, the catchphrase "Live United" is perfect.
It is a good one.
It is a good one.
It conveys a lot.
And you know what? In this era right now, that is the key message.
It is. We need it more than ever.
Yeah, we need it more than ever, and I think that's a key thing. I'm excited that people are committed and want to volunteer their time on a Saturday.
I know.
Yeah,
I am too.
Like
in
for
September.
hours.
I know. It's
like,
a great thing.
okay, and not necessarily be in the neighborhood that is their neighborhood.
Right.
Somebody else's neighborhood that they want to own for the few hours.
And you know, last year when we had Day of Caring last year, also on a Saturday, all the projects last year just about were outside. This year, you know, one's inside, one's outside. But last year, even though it was raining, we were shocked at how many people showed up in the rain on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real commitment.
I think it's a real commitment. Yeah. And it's a test to people wanting to be a part of the United Way vibe.
Oh, for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, the United Way vibe. So
of the
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I was just going to say one of the great stories from Day of Caring last year was a woman I talked to after the day, and she was like, I had so much fun. She said, first off, there was they had been working in teams outside in parks, and her team had included a young person. So this is someone who'd been a teacher much of her life, educator all of her life, and was so excited to get to work with a young person. That gave her a lot of energy. But then she said, and then I got to meet people I didn't know. And I had these great conversations. And she's like, I had so much fun. And the time went so quickly. So it's not just the good that you do in terms of the project itself, but it's getting to know people you might not ever have another chance to meet in another way and make this human connection, which I think is really valuable too.
I think it's very valuable. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad to know that you don't need any more volunteers, so I don't have to shout that out.
You don't. What I will say,
if be like, Babz, don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah, we're done on that one. But
if you really want, there will be space for you, right?
No. There's no space. We got the word actually. Sorry,
okay.
Beth. There isn't room. Oh, you mean for Babz herself?
Oh no, Babz. No.
Oh no,
Babz is there no matter what. I mean,
Babz is there.
I was opening that up. No. Okay.
We've been told we
Scratch
can't.
it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Listen, no more volunteers needed
for that day.
For that day.
What I was going to say is,
just stand by.
If people are eager to volunteer, we really do encourage volunteerism. So even though that project is full, go to our website, uwgnh.org/volunteer. And they can see other projects.
Other projects.
Yes.
Okay.
What we've learned, because of this experience, year 2 with this, module of New Haven Day of Caring and all of the interest really early on, those slots started filling up really early on this year. Last year, we hit our target for how many volunteers we wanted, but it's like in that last week, it's a little nail biting, right? And you have the opportunity to wiggle around to make sure you're going to get all this amazing work done. Then it rained and we were like overflowing with people. It was incredible. But what we've learned this year is that people really love it, volunteering, and we can do even more, right? We've got all there's so many people out there that want to do this great work and meet other people and work alongside others and different types of projects.
Right.
So people want to live united.
Yeah, we're again, like there's never a lack of need for volunteers.
So tell me about this food packaging thing, because I find this fascinating. So walk me through what this looks like and why.
Okay. So I'm going to do the why first.
Okay.
Which is one of the issues we've historically focused on is really trying to meet people's basic needs, right? Food and shelter. I mean, that's something I think United Way is known for. And that's work we're still continuing in a variety of ways. And in the work that we're doing around food is we're really talking to our partners about how do you meet people's immediate needs right now. We have people who are hungry in our region.
Yes.
So, the statistics tell us that like 1 out of 8 people, 1 out of 8. So think about that for a second. Like when you're standing in line somewhere and you see 8 people, you know that one of them is hungry, right? It's 1 out of 6 children.
Oh God.
I know. As a mom, like
I know. What?
It kills you, right?
I mean, that kills me so much that when Beth and I were in church, our church did a food pantry and then we gave to the food bank.
Right.
And that was one of the biggest things that, we as a church contributed so much, because it's knowing that children are hungry.
Right.
It just hurts.
How, you can't expect them to be able to pay attention in school. You can't expect them to have necessarily as healthy a growth as you would want when that's what they're struggling with.
Yes.
So we know we want to meet people's immediate needs. People shouldn't be hungry. But then we're also, again, working in partnership with lots of other organizations talking about, so what can we do over the long term to change this, right? So food has been an issue we've cared about for a long time and we're doing a lot of work on. When we started thinking about a project for this year's Day of Caring, we thought about food, given that it was something we were so involved with. And so we landed on this notion. Again, we learned from some other United Ways who've done a similar project that you can pull a lot of people together to do hands-on work in terms of packaging meals. So we're going to be packaging meals that I think in the food lingo is known as shelf stable. So it means they'll last for a while. And so what it will look like is people are going to be in hygienic ways, right? So, plastic gloves and hair coverings, working to actually put food together into packaging that then can go to food pantries and to the food bank so that they then can distribute it to people who need it.
That is incredible. And there's a whole company that specializes in helping y'all do this.
Yes.
Like y'all didn't say, oh, let's just go get some whatever and do. No.
I mean, right. So, I mean, they're bringing in all of the materials so that the packaging can be done appropriately and with, the right quantities and safe packaging, because you want the people who get the food for it to be food they can use.
You don't want them to be harmed. You don't want anybody sick. You don't want,
of course.
And it makes sense to do it that way if that's what they specialize in doing it.
And they can provide things in bulk that make it more cost effective.
Yes.
Right.
So the fun part of that is that this is the largest
meal packaging day ever in the city of New Haven.
That's like huge.
I know.
So now, do you top that again?
We're gonna try. So with our 100th anniversary coming up next year, we're already talking about what Day of Caring looks like for next year.
Really?
Okay. We would love to blow it out of the water.
Wow.
Yep.
And so you've already contacted the places that are going to get this food, and so they're excited.
They are.
They're going to come pick it up that day.
No, really?
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
So when we're done packaging in the afternoon around 1 o'clock, the local pantries and then the food bank are going to come to John Martinez School and load up their trucks, and that food's going to go out immediately.
Man, so that must be a real plus for them. Like that's a few days where they don't have to figure this out by themselves.
Right.
Like y'all come in and like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah. And like Jennifer said, it's shelf
stable. Right.
So it can build their shelves. You know what I mean? It can be part of some of the other things that they I mean, it just provides some stability for the food banks.
That's wonderful. So this is good. So people are excited to do that. It's like Thanksgiving, really. Like it's like a Thanksgiving kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So people get to do that. And so talk about the park cleanup.
Yeah, so it's the park just down the street from the
park.
school.
Yep, just a couple of blocks from John.
I know this. I know this park because they do a lot of baseball in that park.
Yes.
People, and then they have a little deck off the water, so people fish over there. And, you know,
that's my kid's favorite park in New Haven.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah. We can ride our bikes there, and the Mill River comes out, the New Haven Harbor, everything connects. And
I think the African American Civil War monument is over there.
Yeah. And there's 2 really incredible new playgrounds.
Oh,
that
really?
were built in the last couple.
See, I haven't been over there. See, I'm out the mommy game like that.
I was going to say, you're not in the playground scene anymore.
Oh boy, we know every playground. And
I used to know every playground too.
Yeah.
I was like, no more.
No water park, which is why I also love this park. I love.
Do they
the
have
water
a splash park?
No, that's what I mean. No splash pad there.
Oh, see, I moved into a new I moved into a neighborhood that has a splash park. And when I drive by, I see those little kids out there. It makes my heart soar. Yep. I'm out that game, but I'm happy to see these little kids enjoying a splash park in their neighborhood, little splash pad.
All the parks in New Haven are so great.
They are.
So great.
They are. So I'm so happy that y'all are cleaning up this park because then children can continue to enjoy it.
So it's going to be a fairly traditional park cleanup, you know?
Like pick up trash and bottles and all the things that shouldn't be in a park.
Right.
You know.
Raking and getting ready for
you're doing that kind
season.
of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how much. I mean, we have a lot of volunteers. We can put everybody to work. There's always stuff to do. You know what it's like picking up trash. You look around, you think, oh, this looks pretty good, but once you start going for it, you're like,
more.
Oh, there's more, you know. So it's a nice area.
Oh, that is too funny. That is too funny. So talk about, Jennifer, when you walked into this organization, I don't know how long ago.
13 years ago.
13 years ago. What did you think? What was your thinking? Did you imagine being CEO president?
I did not. I came to the United Way in a kind of a interesting way. It was interesting to me. I don't know that it'll be interesting to anybody else, but I had actually been doing some work with the organization, really with a whole group of volunteers and some staff as they went through this planning process. So they had just done this really big regional needs assessment back in the early 2000s. And from that, the organization was saying to itself, given that we know a lot more now about what the community needs and cares about, what should we be doing? What should our work look like? So I was actually kind of facilitating that planning process, but I wasn't on staff. And then after the group of volunteers had created this whole plan and the organization had said, yes, this is what we want to do, they actually asked me if I wanted to come on staff and help implement the plan. I was like, oh, wow. So it just felt like a great opportunity to be part of a wonderful organization and a great team doing work that really mattered. And so I said yes. Little did I know or they know that right after I accepted the job, I was like, I just found out we're having a baby. I'm going to have to go on maternity leave in a few months. So, but it's been a great place to work and to, my son's now 12.
Oh, wow.
To have that work-life balance that we all talk so much about.
That doesn't exist really, but
I know it doesn't. It's a little bit of a myth. But to feel like you're really giving back. I feel so fortunate that every day I get to do work that allows me to try to make a difference in the community.
So do you start every year with a new vision for where you want to go with this organization?
We're working off of a strategic plan that the board endorsed, helped, developed and endorsed back in 2016 when I moved into this role. And we're just coming up kind of on the end. It was a 3-year plan, so we're just kind of coming up on the end of that, and we're starting a new strategic planning process. So we'll revisit that plan, and I'm guessing that we will make some adjustments to it. I don't see that we'll make a wholesale change because we're still really in the business of focusing on education, financial stability, and health, and those aren't going to change as our big issue areas based on what we know about the community. But it's always good, I think, for an organization to step back and say, are we doing the most impactful work in the most impactful way? And how can we ensure that, in terms of the organization itself, that it's going to be really sustainable and hopefully be able to grow over the long run,
So what's your budget? Like, how much money do you all work with over there?
Yeah. So
and how many people are over there?
So we have about 20 people on staff.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking 20 people.
The majority of them are program-related staff. And our budget's about $7.8 million.
That's a big budget. You do a lot with $7.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we try.
And so now, why did you come over to the United Way, Miss Beth Pellegrino?
Well, I've been there for 8 years, which I can't even believe. Before I worked at United Way, I was the program director at Solar Youth.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that's a local,
with Joanne Scully.
Yeah. So a local environmental education, youth development organization. I had been there for, between 3 and 4 years. And this is a little bit, I'm going to try and keep this short, Babz, this sort of part of the story. But, this was the time when the school district in the city was creating kind of the next iteration of the school change effort, the localized school reform stuff, back with Stefano and Mayo when they were kind of on their long run together. And United Way was involved in that effort by organizing a piece of the strategy that was called Boost, which is basically a community schools effort, right? So we started in 5 schools, grew up to 16, and the idea was working with the local nonprofits really deeply and inside the schools to do sort of needs assessments and stuff, and partnering the community with the schools so that we can create safe spaces in the schools and truly provide all the resources and benefits to the New Haven public schools that really their suburban peers were able to have access to. And we wanted to create these community schools. So health opportunities in the schools, so and all of those things, lots of resources and after school programs and enrichment activities. So I came to United Way from my world at Solar Youth sort of with the knowledge of having been the nonprofit partner person. Right.
I see United Way. They like to get people who work on these things and be like, oh, I'm gonna get the person who actually worked on this to come and run this over here for us.
It was a really interesting time though. I mean, it was at the very beginning of the creation of Boost, really. And having a different perspective of what it was like to be the nonprofit partner who was having trouble building the relationship and making the connection with schools or the school district. It was a very interesting time. So we did Boost for 5 years at United Way. And then kind of as we talked about before, things just sort of morph and change and you start understanding different needs or opportunities out there. So in time, my role there has changed, but again, always around this world of education initiatives. So that's what brought me to United Way. And it's a nice place to work because you get to do these different things, as different things come up and we can get excited about where the needs are and what the challenges are. And we can try new things,
I'm looking forward to see what y'all do for the 100-year celebration.
Yeah.
And I believe you're coming back to talk to me about that.
I am.
And so I want to plant this seed in your head to think about, what do you think the next 100 years ought to look like or could look like, coming from already 100 years behind?
Right.
Because 100 years is a huge block of time to see a great deal of change and growth and development and world issues. I mean, the world just looks very different.
It does.
So I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on that.
Okay.
So
that's my homework assignment.
So how are y'all feeling about United Way and its place in the community these days?
I think we're in a good place. I mean, especially because we've got we've got such a great group of people over there at United Way that are paying attention and hearing and listening and learning. And we've got a really nice place to be together and have open conversations with each other, think through strategies, and then take action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a nice group. I think it's a great mix of people who are big picture thinkers out in the community, and then also real doers, hard workers, doers, people that want to see change and just like want to be supportive and love New Haven.
Yes, that's key.
Yeah.
I agree with Beth. We have a great staff team.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really lucky.
That's good
to have that kind of team. We also have a terrific board and group of volunteers.
I was going to ask about this board. How big is your board?
21 people.
Whoa! That's a lot of people to get in line.
Yeah. And you know what? They're great. So, you know, they come from all over the region, different backgrounds, areas of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
They are really joined by passion for the mission. They
Mm-hmm.
want to make the community a better place. And I think we're just really lucky to have them in terms of their ability to think about, again, partnerships, about how to be strategic, make the biggest difference in the community. And then, you know, they're very willing to roll up their sleeves. So you'll meet some of them at Day of Caring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we'll have board members there.
Let me ask you, what gives you pause? I don't want to say what keeps you up at night, but what issue out there, or what sort of says, I wish we could take a stab at that, or we're thinking about this, or, you know, because everybody's talking about reentry.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about banning e-cigarettes. Now we're talking about, immigration is a huge, component to our everyday practical lives. So are those the kinds of issues that you sort of like pay attention to and watch how the tides turn, and think, oh, maybe we could jump in at this point or that point, or something we could do here? We definitely try to stay connected and on top of what the issues are that people are talking about and caring about in the community. I would say that what I hear a lot of people talking about, people obviously really care about children and making sure children have pathways to success. And so, we believe strongly, and I think all the research shows that kids need nurturing and loving and opportunities for their brains to grow in healthy ways from birth. And so I see that as an area that many people care about in the community, and we can continue to do more about, because we know collectively, if we really invest in children from very early ages, that it can make a huge difference, for their long-term success in life. So that's something that we're really into and will continue to be. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot about when I talk to people is this notion of how do you help make sure that people have access to good jobs? Yeah. Jobs are a big issue. Yeah, because we're no longer a manufacturing country. Right. We've had to rethink that, right? Yeah. And so what does that look like for people, and how can we have those conversations in ways that are, inclusive and innovative, and bring the community together to think about that? Because if you think about what I think, families want, I think what we want for our own families, what we know other people want for their families, they want to be able to provide for their family. Yeah. And they want to be able to do that by working. And there are a lot of people who are working jobs that don't allow them to do that, or working multiple jobs, or are underemployed. They want to be doing more than they are doing. So I think that's one we've got to really figure out as a community. Do you have a lobbying arm, or do you have a legislative agenda? We are part of the United Ways of Connecticut's legislative agenda. So we come together as local United Ways with the United Way of Connecticut, kind of develop and sign on to an overall agenda. And so all the you have to know all the legislative players. You have to get to know them. I know our local ones. I don't know No, I mean
ones from other part of the state necessarily.
Yeah, no, the local ones that are unique to, that can support the work that you're doing.
Yep. Right.
I'm always curious about how nonprofits sort of enter the political, how they jump into the political arena, because so much of the work you do has political implications and impact.
And I'd say a fair amount of what we've done of late, at least, is really trying to raise awareness around the very real challenges that people face and put a face on that. And, data is important, but also to really put a face on that and help people understand, this is what parents are going through when they're trying to find childcare for their children, or this is what parents are, the kinds of choices, hard choices people are having to make when they're working but not making enough to really afford the basics. Like, what does that look like for people?
And I think that's a wonderful way to sort of share with politicians, because sometimes the very people that you're talking about can't get to public hearings.
True.
I don't have time to write to their local legislative leadership.
Right. And we also try to find ways to make that possible for those who want to be able to share their voice that way.
I did not know that.
Right. So in fact, like just yesterday, our Early Head Start director was up in Hartford along with one of our former Early Head Start parents who wanted to share her story with legislators and people at the state level about what the needs are around childcare and childcare subsidies when you're a working parent that needs to have your child somewhere that's healthy and safe.
And safe, yes,
right?
Yes. Right. That's a big deal. Right. As a mother, I remember, those days when, finding quality, clean, safe daycare, and not leaving children just any old where. Right. And too often, too many parents have to leave children in places or leave them by themselves, which can be dangerous, And we understand why they do it, because, their back's up against the wall. Somebody's got to bring home some money, and oftentimes children have to be cared for, and sometimes
they're not good options.
Yeah, they're not good options. And
sometimes they're not.
And so I'm glad people are paying attention to that, and somebody is trying to raise that awareness,
Yeah.
So
I mean, we definitely think that, people who have lived with these experiences, their voices need to be heard. Right.
That's pretty powerful, because in the past, nonprofits didn't necessarily listen to the very people that they were serving. They just swooped in and said, we think we know. And then disastrous things happen.
I think lots of people go into it with good intentions, but we're convinced that the best way to create meaningful change is to make sure you're really listening to the people who would be most affected.
Yes.
Right. And who've lived it.
And have them with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think United Way does pretty well, really.
We're working on it for sure.
Yeah.
It's a commitment.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming in this morning. This was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you come back and talk about the 100 years.
I know.
I'm really excited about that. I don't know who can say they've been around 100 years. I mean, my sorority can, but.
Yeah. And there's some others. I mean, we're fortunate to be in an area where there are some other organizations that can say that, but it does feel like a real milestone.
It does, particularly in this age where everything is fast and changing, that there's still some stable, we can still look to organizations like the United Way that has stood the test of time, and has been able to shift with the times to continue their mission and to do the things that you believe what you believe in. So that's a wonderful thing. So thank y'all for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I'm looking forward to being the hype girl for
me too. I can't wait to
for
have
the
you
day
there.
of carrying it 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, it's early, isn't it?
Oh Lord, make sure there's lots of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. That's numero uno.
Ooh, lots of coffee. So thank you. Thank you, Jennifer Heath.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth Pellegrino.
Thank you, Babz.
This has been my absolute pleasure. So thank y'all for listening, and all the folks who are in the Facebook chat room, thank y'all for listening in and checking in. I'll be back. Pundits is up next at 11 o'clock. I'll be back on Monday. I'll see y'all. Thank you very much for listening to Lovebabz Love Talk on 103.5 WNHH, live streaming on the New Haven Independent. I'll be back.